Hey guys, it's story time. Let's look at our story and see if you remember it from last week. Hopefully, this looks familiar and you remember what this story was about. I want everybody to come up here and read the title of the story. When you're done reading the title, give a thumbs up. Who can tell us what the title of our story is? That's right, the title is King Sam. King Sam. Who remembers in their mind what this story was about? Who can raise their hand and tell us? Great job. You guys are good remembering things. Now what we're going to do is we are going to practice reading this and doing some marking up and some other stuff. So we're going to come over here. And what I want you to do is we are going to read this together, okay? We're going to read the scoops, and I'm going to grab this pen because I just like having the pencil. So you guys are going to follow me, okay? There are scoops, but I'm going to point above the scoops. So we're going to read it all together. Ready? King Sam sings to the kids. The king cannot sing. His song is bad. The kids say, "Stop!" The king winks and the song stops. The kids say, "Thank you, King Sam." Let's read that one more time. Ready? King Sam sings to the kids. The king cannot sing. His his song is bad. The kids say, "Stop!" The king winks and the song stops. The kids say, "Thank you, King Sam." Now, do you guys remember when we created a mind movie for our stories? We're going to do that today. What I'm going to do is I am going to underline one sentence at a time. Your teacher's going to call on someone to read the sentence, and then you have to tell us what you think of when you hear that sentence. If your teacher wants to call on two different people, that's fine, or the same person, whatever you guys want. So let's go ahead and have someone read the first sentence and tell us what they think of. Great. Now let's move to the next sentence. Again, you can pick someone to read the sentence and tell you what they think when they hear these words. So you guys are creating a movie or a little TV show in your mind. Let's check the next sentence. Read that and tell us what you think of in your mind when you hear that. Before we move on to the next sentence, what are these? Remember, they are called quotation marks. Who can raise their hand and explain to us what quotation marks mean? What do they tell us? They signal something, but I can't remember what. That's right. They signal when somebody's saying something. So somebody is saying, "Stop." So see how they made this is a word we haven't learned yet. Okay. We have not learned vowel teams. So you guys may or may not know that this is the word say. One of the clues, however, is there's some quotation marks. And a lot of times before or after quotation marks, you're going to see words that signal someone's talking, like say or ask or said, things like that. So, and it's going to tell you who's doing the talking. In this case, it's the kids. Okay, so let's have someone read this sentence And tell us what you think of after you're done reading it. Nice. Let's look at this sentence. Let's have someone read this sentence and tell us what they think of when they read that sentence. And now let's go to the last sentence. Somebody read this sentence and then tell us what you think. Great. Last week, we talked about the fact that there were two characters, right? We said that there was the king, King Sam. He was one character. And who was the other character? And in this case, it's actually characters. So we have the king and we have the kids. That's right. We have kids. So we have the king and we have kids. Those are our two characters in our story. How do you guys think the kids felt when they heard King Sam singing? How do you guys think they felt? How do you guys think the king felt in our story? And it doesn't tell us. So it's not really the answers are right or wrong, but we have to put ourselves in the place. It's called inferencing. And that's where we use what we know and how we might feel if we were singing and all of a sudden people were like, stop! Because they think you're singing so bad. How might you feel? Right? Or if you guys were somewhere and someone started singing and it was awful, how might you hear or feel? So people feel different ways. And even though it doesn't say, we can figure it out using the story and what we already know. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is I want to call on some volunteers to tell me how to mark up our words with our key sounds that we've been working on. We've been working on NG and NK, our glued sounds. So who can raise their hand and tell me how I mark any glued sound? How do I mark a glued sound? That's right. I mark a glued sound by putting a box around it, right? Okay. So I'll do the first one. This one, whoop, king, ing is our glued sound, right? If we had to tap it out, we'd go ing, king, right? So let's look at some other ones that have glued sounds. Raise your hand and tell us if you see anything else in the first sentence. That's right. Here's a glued sound. And it's not only a glued sound, but it has a suffix s, right? So sings is has a glued sound and a suffix s. Great job. Now, in this one, we have the same exact words, right? There's nothing new here. So I'll just get those real quick. But who can tell us in the third sentence if you see a word with a glued sound? What word has the glued sound? That's right. The word song. Perfect. Do we see any glued sounds in here? No, we don't. I see some glued sounds in this sentence. Who can tell us one of the words with a glued sound? That's right. Good job. Who can tell us another word with a glued sound in that sentence? And who thinks they can find the last word in that sentence with a glued sound? Great job. There's king. There's winks. Whoops, went too far on that one. There's my suffix S. And here is song. Good job. Let's look at the last sentence and see if we see a glued sound. That's right, we see two of them. Thank, and there's king again. So we found all of the words that have glued sounds. Awesome job. Okay, now, depending on if you are back in school or what have you, here I'll leave this up so you guys can go ahead and practice this. If you want to practice it in pairs, if you want to practice it by yourself, if you want to practice it as a class, however you want to practice it, it's here if you want to. Great job today, friends.